women just delusional? No, they have the luxury of being delusional now as afforded by one invention, which have a problem with us as red pill guys is because, again, we're the boogeyman. You guys are the reason why we're not having babies. You're the reason why the marriage rate is at 5.1 per 1,000 right now, the lowest rate that it's ever been since 1848 when they started keeping track of all this. No, it's actually a result of hormonal birth control and the sexual revolution. So if you look at where declining fertility rates started, it starts all right around the same time, right around 1965 to 1975, and I always peg it around 1970, 1971, when we were talking about no-fault divorce. Well, as far as I'm able to sort of determine here, no-fault divorce is the product of hormonal birth control, because what happens, hormonal birth control becomes a thing and women start taking it, they start divorcing their husbands. So if you look at the correlation, I know it's not causation, but if you look at the correlation between the rise in use of hormonal birth control and you look at the rise in divorce, it's almost identical. And it's not, again, it's a correlation, but that's a hell of a fucking correlation. So when you get up to that top level there, and then it declines and it falls off to where we're at right now in the United States, it's either 6.1 or 5.1 right now, depending. I think in 2020 it was 5.1. But you look at the abysmal rate of marriage right now, plus you have hormonal birth control, plus you put more women into the workplace, plus you empower women, plus you fundamentally change the human race and the intersexual dynamics between men and women. Why do I obsess over this stuff so much? It's stuff like this.
When you say fundamentally change, you're like women who would be fertile are now longer fertile because...
Well, we basically have the sexual revolution is a product, or is it a project in eugenics? It is and I'm not saying intentionally, it's just is as a result of just being at all. So you've got eugenics that's going in there. You have essentially turned over the human reproductive process to one sex. You were just saying a little while ago when we were talking about mate switching hypothesis, it's like, well, women are just up now. Like it's because of society. And it's because they have
we're allowed to be delusional.
We're allowed to be delusional.
Because we're so far away from the survival scenario.
So are we allowed to be delusional, or have we given women carte blanche right now when it comes to human reproduction? So you have hormonal birth control. Don't come at me for vasectomies when for the last like 60 some odd years post-sexual revolution, you go and you look at the drop in fertility below replacement. What I'm saying is women have always been that way.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that now they have the luxury and the option to be as up and as delusional as they want to be. They've always been that way, but now society has switched so dramatically as a result of one invention that now we see what they're really about. Because prior to that, we had all these buffers. We had societal buffers. We had stigmas for single mothers. We had the church. We had quote unquote patriarchy, all right up until 1 year, right around 1965, 1970, somewhere in there. That's when the sexual revolution really took off, and that's where things changed. So if you look at all of these cultural things that are big hot button issues right now, if you trace back like where they started and where the decline was, you will always find one commonality. About 1970 is when they all started. Okay. So getting back to what you're saying, as far as reproduction is concerned, as far as fertility rates are concerned, is there an intent behind it? Is it the Rockefellers who invented feminism? Is it Elon Musk who is talking about the Great Replacement? Is it Klaus Schwab who's behind all this? Is it this Illuminati guys in a darkened room smoking cigarettes in a silhouette somewhere with? And my answer to that is no, it's not, because the only other option is we're just that fucked up.
Yeah.
That's just human nature. And when you give us that much option, that's where we go. We become delusional.
Yeah.
You give us hormonal birth control, we don't have to we can have sex and we don't have to worry about pregnancy. We now revert to type. We now revert to what we really, really are, because we don't have to worry about those societal stigmas anymore. In fact, a single mother today is a superhero. Prior to 1965, that was the worst shame you could bring upon a family. All that shame is gone. And that's why when people say, Rollo, when's this pendulum going to swing back? It's never swinging back, because there's no pendulum to swing back in the first place, because technology won't permit it.
Yes.
So,
all right, so you're saying instead of one big nefarious thing, it's a bunch of little negligent things that stacked on
paper cuts.
On top of each other. Okay.
But see, here's the thing. When people feel out of control, they have to find some way to externalize it. So it's the Jews. It's Jeffrey. It's the Illuminati. It's whoever Alex Jones hates this week.
Yeah.
It's the red pill guys. That's we're the villain du jour right now, and it'll be somebody else sooner or later. Hormonal birth control was the single most significant invention of the 20th century. I would say more significant than the atom bomb.
Okay.
Because what it has done is it has fundamentally changed the way we reproduce and create life, as opposed to like the atom bomb. How do we kill people? Right.
Yeah.
So the way we do sex, the way we do marriage, the way we do intersexual dynamics, homosexual, bisexual, whatever sexual, all of that can be rooted back to one invention, and that is hormonal birth control, which put the human reproductive process in the hands of women. What happens when you give them that? The divorce rates skyrocket.
Okay.
And what happens when that happens? You see militant feminism start to ramp up. You get Gloria Steinem, Betty Friedan, and you get all the militant feminists of the late 60s and early 70s. They jump on board, and everybody piles on. So insurance companies, banks say, well, more women are getting in the workplace now, so you can now have a line of credit. 1974, all the banks, because we went off the gold standard. Why do we go off the gold standard? Well, we got more people coming into the workforce. We don't have ways to back up our currency with gold anymore, so we need to go to a fiat currency. I would say, I'm not saying that's entirely the reason, but I would say that was probably had something to do with the fact that we have doubled the workforce, like say 1970, when women are coming into universities. We got Title IX. We have abortion on demand by 1972, 1974 for Roe v. Wade, somewhere in there.
72.
1974 is when banks gave women the ability to have a bank account and to have a line of credit. They're happy to do it because they don't have to worry about the gold standard anymore. It's all fiat currency. You can have as much credit as you want, baby. Okay. So all of these things that we take for granted right now, they all track back to that one single year right there. But as far as the no-fault divorce, when was that initiated? Well, it wasn't. By the way, it wasn't Ronald Reagan who came up with the law. He just signed it into law in 1970. It was initiated in 1968 as a result of, or a product, I should say, of expediting all of the divorces caused by what? One invention.
Got it.
So that's how I track no-fault divorce, and then state by state by state by state by state they adopt.
So you actually don't agree with either one of them. Like the no-fault divorce thing does allow the divorces to go through quicker, but you don't think it's the cause for the divorce.
No, I think that because you have to keep. It's like watching the movie Inception. You have to keep going down to the very bottom Inception, and the very bottom of the Inception is the advent of hormonal birth control that leads to divorce. Divorce leads to no-fault divorce. Then we go on from there. So you'll see conservative Christians always want to point back to no-fault divorce, and if we just got rid of that, everything would be great. No, people still aren't getting married in the first place. You want to know why the divorce rate drops? No one's getting married.
Yeah, just so we're clear, that's because I kind of agree with you. That was Andrew Wilson, the Crucible. That was his argument, was that a part of the reason for the increase in the divorce rate for the last 50 years or whatever had to do with the fact that no-fault divorces made it easier for women to just get out of a marriage, as opposed to the cooling off period that 7 states still require right now.
And goes back to what you were saying before. Are women just delusional? No, they have the luxury of being delusional now, as afforded by one invention, which is hormonal birth.
So that's a micro example. The macro example of what you're talking about is, as society gets further and further away from a survival scenario, we're delusional. That goes. That's Kyrie Irving believing in flat Earth, and that's all of it becomes delusional.
Destiny thinking of our better angels are going to save us, and we don't need to worry about pulling triggers because it doesn't matter what shape you're in, and it doesn't matter. We have robots to do all our fighting for us now. We're evolved past that. No, we're not. We're still the same machine as we were 100, 200,000 years ago.
And by the way, his reality that he's describing, that may be 200 years from now. That may be 100 years from now. Well, there may be a point where we start regulating people. Well, you know what, sir? You have too much.
Gattaca.
You have too much testosterone. You got to go live on the moon, and so you don't have to. And maybe all of security and firefighting and construction work is done by robots. Maybe we get to that point, but we're not there today.
I made this prospect, and maybe we just leave it here in my fourth book in religion, in the introduction, where I said the decisions and the mindsets today and our belief sets and our ideologies today will affect what we are, like literally what our chemical and our biological makeup is probably 50 years from now, 60 years from now, because we have plotted the human genome. We know how to do gene editing at this point. So I proposed this question. I said, if, let's just say for sake of argument, there is a gay gene.
Yeah.
Should we edit that out of our children? Is it abnormal to have a gay kid?
The answer is people will, regardless of whether we should.
Of course they will. But the answer to that question is an ideological question. What about Down syndrome kids? Should we, if we can, and literally we can do that now. We can edit out the Down syndrome chain, whatever the genetic chain is. We can pull that out and say there will never be another Down syndrome kid. Should we do that? Should we do that? Should we make okay, so those are like big major changes. What about if I have I know I'm going to have really bad macular degenerative disease with I have to wear glasses. Is it a different situation if we say, oh, we want to fix your eyes, right? You won't have to wear prescription glasses anymore. Should we do that? Oh yeah, of course. Should we edit out the gay gene? Oh no, that's not abnormal.
So here's the thing. these debates are terrific, and I love Ray Kurzweil. Have you read Ray Kurzweil, The Singularity is Near? He goes over all this entire discussion, and he has a new book come out called The Singularity is Near. Now, here's the thing. We're going to have these questions about the morality of editing out genes. 100 years from now, they're going to laugh at these discussions. They will do this. I don't care how much you hate the fact that I'm saying this. People will be robots, they will be dating robots, they will be editing their children.
They will be.
Like right now, 3% of the Earth's population, I believe, has blue eyes, and I believe it's like less than that has green eyes. And when people start editing, you're going to see 50-60% of the human population with blue and green eyes. Again, you can get as mad as you want. The reality of the situation is, while we have these moral discussions today, in the future, the answer will always come from, what does evolution tell us? Humans will choose the path of least resistance. They will choose the sexy sons. They will choose whatever they can to ensure, like, again, if I had the ability, women choose to date, the sexy sons hypothesis is the idea that women choose men who have attraction cues that other women pay attention to, so that they can have children that have those same attraction cues. Humans will always choose things to happen to their babies. So you're saying, well, should we edit out Down syndrome? Well, that doesn't allow my Down syndrome child to have more children, so therefore we're going to edit it out. It's not a function of morality. There is no question that will happen because of evolutionary psychology. Evolution will always lead to people to choose the path of least resistance and the ability to have higher sexual selection.
All right, now let me bake your noodle here for a second. Okay, so if that's the case, then in a sense we can say, well, should we edit down men's ability to have so much testosterone that they're aggressive and they're violent criminals and they're rat bastard pathological?
So at some point, here's what's going to happen. The people who want that are going to try to make that happen, and the people with that testosterone are going to be standing there with a gun. Like, that's what we're going to get. We're going to get to that point, right? And then it's going to break in one way or the other. I just finished the 3-body problem a couple months ago.
We try to do this behaviorally right now, but I'm saying, like, remember what I said? The machine hasn't changed in 100,000, 200,000 years.
Yeah.
Now we can change
the machine. So now we're going to be like editing endocrinology. For sure, that definitely could definitely be a thing. One more thing before we move on from James Sexton, the prenup idea. He tends to believe that the prenup is a little bit more ironclad. It solves most problems. And then there's a lot of people in the red pill community who say prenups are just getting thrown out left and right. What do you believe after talking to James?
I've changed my mind about that. My impression of prenups was drawn from a documentary called Divorce Incorporated from like 2012, 2013. Yeah. And in there, they say that prenups, by and large, were unenforceable or very easy to throw. Like judges made a game of throwing out prenuptial. Now, the other thing is that, and James actually agreed with this, is you cannot write into a prenuptial agreement child support. So if you have 3 kids, you're not going to be able to get around child support. You might be able to get around alimony, but you're not going to get around child support. So that's something. But I think I've kind of like come to a different conclusion, because he's the one who's telling me, hey, look, if you get it done by LegalZoom, if you get it done by LegalZoom, it's probably going to get thrown out. But if you have it done by like a real attorney who knows what he's doing, and you're paying, the reason you're paying him that money is so that it is ironclad. So I think I'm a little bit more on the fence. He agreed with me with the child support thing, but I think I've sort of changed my mind about prenups.
I would, $2,000 for prenup is what he said.
It's still just as hard to get a woman to agree to a prenup in 2014 as it is in 2023.
Goes, the only thing more, what he said, the only thing more expensive than a good divorce attorney is a bad divorce attorney. And the only thing, you know what I'm saying? And the only thing more expensive than a prenup is not having a prenup. Yes. So that's really for I'm looking forward to a discussion with James.
Erase that and then put the pencil in again.
Dude, James is kind of like a nuclear bomb for this whole discussion.
He's the only person I know who can talk more than you.
You get it? Yeah, he could definitely do a lot of that.
And me, by the way.